Hello and good evening, y'all, and welcome to The Truth Behind the Truth. What a way to come on with that little caption and at the top. You want to share it with me?
Oh, well, I can read it.
Okay.
So that's all I can share.
Okay.
What do you call it when someone hears the truth, sees the truth, but still believes the lies?
Now, is that not where we are in society?
Oh yeah, we're definitely there. I mean, we definitely have somebody telling us, even though we're seeing it, that what we're seeing is it's not a fact. It's not the truth.
Right.
It's nothing to see here.
Right.
Just listen to my voice,
Right.
which is the lie. But it is what it is, though, right?
But that's been the same concept since this man has gotten into the White House. We promise you guys, we are not going to be talking about him all night long tonight.
But we can touch lightly on what he is doing, because it is the reality of our world right now, and the world is really getting tired of this man. The saddest thing about this situation is, though, I never seen somebody so well. No, I haven't in my lifetime, because historically we have seen people come and go who has been hated globally around the world. But this right here in my lifetime, I'm seeing what it looks like to be not on the same side, but in a country where its leader is now being looked down upon. And to be honest with you, it's kind of weird, because don't get me wrong, I lived through certain presidents that were sort of in a similar situation, but not to this extent. Yeah. But to be honest with you, it's a sight to see right now.
Well, it is. We would have never. I mean, honestly, as too much as there's a lot of us,
and that's why I didn't vote for this fool. I'm just gonna just put it out there. I didn't vote for him. Everybody else who either set this one out and decided that that they felt like he was the better candidate, they voted for this, but I didn't vote for this.
No, I didn't vote for anything.
To find the truth, I didn't vote for this crap.
And that's why we're trying to find a way to escape from this mess. Because we've said it on previous shows that if you're not at the point of really trying to get some sort of exit strategy in place for yourself, because as you can see, this man with a swipe of a pen has changed so much of our democracy in a very short period of time.
He's just uprooting everything that's been ugly for the longest, in our culture. He has uprooted that part of this country. But see, what you can put back up
that caption. The truth.
The saddest thing about this situation, and the caption is so on point with what's going on right now. When it boils down to situations with the economy, with immigration, with the rhetoric of bigotry and misogyny that's now going on right now. It's happening before our very eyes. But you have people within, who are within politics saying, don't fall for the trap. Don't panic. Everything is going to work itself out fine. But from what we're seeing in reality, I don't see anything that's going to work out. Only for a certain few people who have lots to gain, but for a lot of us who really don't have a pot to pee in, like my grandma would say, a pot to pee in, a dough to throw it out.
No window to throw it out.
We don't have. I mean, it's just that's the saddest thing about the reality, is that is the reality. What do you call it when someone hears the truth, sees the truth, but still believes the lie? Isn't there another phrase that says "pee in my face" and say that it's raining? You can pee in my face and tell me that it's raining, and am I saying that correctly?
Well, that's another good one. I mean,
that's another way of saying it. Somebody is peeing in my face and telling me that it's raining, but in all reality, it's still piss.
Right.
It's we're gonna leave it there.
Okay.
But still, I ain't gonna go into too much detail about that. I'm about to go somewhere with that.
Right.
But to be honest with you, it's a sad situation in society that we're now living with and having to grapple with.
Yes.
So
no, I completely agree, and I think that what we have been doing for the longest on this show, and will continue to do, is to bring the truth behind the truth to the light. Because we're talking about things that people are just not conversing about. Media and otherwise. We were watching some show. Oh, let me do some hellos first before we dig in. So when I say hey to Greg, well, Greg, thanks for being a faithful member, a contributor to our show on a regular basis. See, we got cousin Mike watching tonight too.
Hey, Mike, from Florida.
Hey, Mike.
Hey.
I think a few more are coming on, but thank you guys for taking the time out to be a part of the interesting platform of the truth behind the truth. Please do. And share, and like.
Because it's
like
free. Yeah, nobody's asking for money to do those things. But to do those
things. Those things. Okay, gotcha.
To share, subscribe, and to also put it out there that this is, the show to listen to. So all of that's for free.
All that. We ain't gonna
and like it as well. It.
And we ain't gonna lock the door so you can get out.
Oh, don't lock the door. Or don't close the door.
Don't whatever. Close the door.
That is an awful situation too, right there. That's a bad. See, that was also a situation that we can expand on about that, because to be honest with you, from what it looked like to him in that moment, wasn't what we perceived it to be watching from the camera.
Right.
The reality in that moment didn't look like to him what we took from it. And that right there, it threw him into a situation of having to over-explain the situation. Because at the end of the day, to tell somebody to close the doors repeatedly, he didn't say lock, he said close the doors, close the doors. And he said in such a forceful tone, people thought, are you kidnapping these people? But to each his own.
In that perception. Well, I mean, we could dig into that a little bit further, from a church perspective. I won't say about a spiritual perspective, because tonight our show and the next two are going to be surrounding spirituality, in the sense not the same as in a religious perspective, but understanding your spiritual being and what you can achieve by just embracing your spiritual being. We thought in our production meeting that it was appropriate time, because we are in the spiritual awakening for so many different people over the next 2 weeks leading up to Resurrection Sunday. Some people call it Easter, if you're of the Christian faith. All right. But here's the thing, not getting into a Bible story. But here the thing is that most Christians don't understand that every religious practice surrounds itself around the idea of Jesus.
I don't think your president does too. You know what he has decided to do on the 20th?
What do you do?
I'll let you look in.
You gonna look it up?
I'll look into that.
Okay.
Because that ain't gonna be when is Easter this year?
2 weeks from a week.
Is that on the 20th?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay, we're gonna go.
So my point is, so and our goal is always never to direct one specific area, even though he and I are of the quote unquote labeled Christian faith. However, our beliefs vary from that whole idea, because it's encompassed of embracing all. And when you embrace all, you can't be in that particular area, as a whole. But anyway, that's a whole other Bible story right there to get into that. But so what we're doing is that we're trying to help you guys understand where you are spiritually, and fitting it into the mode that you are born a successful, great, victorious creature. Your belief system in a religion does not dictate that. You were already that before you necessarily even aspired to be a part of a group that said, this is who you are based upon the group that you're associated with, You don't have to be a part. I know this is going to shake some of y'all up. You don't have to be going to somebody's church or aspiring to somebody's religion in order to be a spiritual being. That is what you've been created from. You've been created from spirit, so you are spirit, But again, teachings throughout history have enslaved the mindsets of so many people that they don't understand really who they are and what our Creator has created them to be. You're some powerful people. All right, some very, very powerful people. But when you don't know it, when you don't believe it, and when you don't aspire to get deeper into it, then it becomes something else. But we'll get there. All right, but go ahead and hit your next point.
Oh, well, I mean, and I, to be honest with you, is the fact that at the end of the day, you still, I just feel like of any type of religion or any type of platform that you follow, you need to understand that you need to go in there doing research, and then on top of that, not letting somebody tell you who you are, but you need to go in within the understanding of knowing that this is who I am, and this is what I come to get out of what you are teaching me. Not that you need to go tell me to do A, B, C, and D, because we have seen what that has done to people within cult situations.
Absolutely.
You be drinking of the Kool-Aid, thinking that you do, and
Kool-Aid wound up dead.
And that's the truth.com. So in the what we have put up there, the caption is religion being led by other people, stories, ideas, programs, constructs, barriers, separations, limitations, and fears learned and imposed from outside of the self, operating out of fear of judgment, soul connection, and at death. Spirituality being led by your soul to know from within and seeking evolution, universal truths, and healing above comfort, pushing your body up in consciousness through all self-imposed limitations and becoming truly sovereign, operating from the divine constant state of love, soul connection, and remembering that you are powerful and limitless now.
Limitless now.
And to be honest with you, that's the one thing I always believed, that religion was more, the word religion is more based on control. Spirituality is based on being free of that control. That's why I always tell people that
I like that. Say that again.
Religion is based on control, but spirituality is being free from that control.
Wow.
And I always tell people that I'm more spiritual than I am religion, and especially commercial religion.
Yes.
Because commercial religion, we're seeing it within politics.
Yes.
It's now become a control factor right now, making sure that enforcing.
Enforcing an idea.
Enforcing ideas that a lot of people do not agree to.
Right.
And you know what? To be honest with you, the separation of church and state was put in place for that very reason, because the founders knew, even though they themselves were Christian and some were atheists. I know Thomas Jefferson was not the biggest Christian out of the bunch.
And then allegedly, Ben Franklin was a part of that whole situation.
But he was more of an atheist. He was more the
I think he was agnostic.
I think he might have been agnostic.
I think he was agnostic. We'll find that out and get the truth behind the truth on that. But I think he was agnostic, and then that was one of the things that what he was trying to. Rumor has it, let's say allegedly, all right, that he was trying to vary the founding fathers from not necessarily coming with a pilgrim mentality, because that pilgrim mentality existed long before they got here, and that I don't want to use the term as a white control, but it was, because that's what, what happened with slavery. They tried to make it become I hate to use the term white because anyway, I don't want to attack a group.
It was European based regardless. How could you not run away from the European based platform of religion? I mean, they were running away from the control of the Church of England. The Church of England was mostly, it's still in control to this day, because who still runs it? The House of Windsor. I mean, King Charles still runs that the Church of England. But the thing about that was that
I'm sorry to cut you. Go ahead. No, I'm not interrupting you. I just want you to expound on the Church of England, and see there's a difference in that too, because a lot of people think that's the Catholic Church, and it really isn't. But explain it to our audience about the Church of England and how that ties into the royal family and what the usherer of that the Church of England came through, the descendants of not descendants of the Queen.
Well, because I don't want to go too far into details because I don't want to confuse people.
Okay.
But that was based on another factor of control.
Yes.
Especially for Queen Elizabeth I. Elizabeth I ushered in the Church of the idea of the Church of England, because the Catholic Church, the Vatican over in Italy was still controlling things, controlling matters of a whole of Europe. And to be honest with you, the first queen, Queen Elizabeth, was like, I'm tired of dealing with people who do not understand our whereabouts. So I want to cut off from what they got going on, and we're going to build our own. So I would have control over what goes into our spiritual meetings, what goes into our into what we do within the program, music wise. It was based on her having that type of control over her country, so she didn't have to go to whatever over there at the Vatican to explain to them why they were going to war, why they were having to pass certain laws. Because what was the point? I'm the queen.
Right.
That's what it was. I'm the queen. I am in control of all of this. So Americans the first colonists who were so tired of having to deal with this situation that was over there within the Church of England, they wanted to come over here and build something of their own. And yes, they ran into some situations with taxes, which is what we're dealing with right now, which we're going to deal with right now with the tariffs. And it's so funny that we don't make connections with our history, because when they felt like England was overtaxing them because of the tea that was coming in from over there, they went and they turned that damn tea over within the Boston Harbor. So I hate to say this, I don't know what we're going to do in our situation, because we got enforced higher taxes with these tariffs, because everything that we're going to have to buy that we need are going to be heavily taxed. But that was a situation of control. And yes, that's why, going back to the separation of church and state, enforcing one's ideas and beliefs is a very dangerous situation. Yes, because not only that you're enforcing, but what comes with that is violence. That instills some form of persecution, where if somebody doesn't follow the doctrine, which we say over here, we're not of the this country is not of an Islamic anything, Sharia law, but the Republicans like to say we're not going to have Sharia law within these United States. But I see something, an alternative to it, called the Christian Sharia law, because that is what I'm seeing that's now coming forth. So that is going to be an issue that, as Americans, if you believe that you should have the freedom to believe in whatever you believe in, Buddhism, Confucian, hey, whatever it is, Confucius, Catholicism, Christianity, but whatever you believe that fits your format, you better be out there fighting for that right now, because there are a group that's really ready to get rid of it, called the evangelicals. So reading this, don't make the mistake of being so understanding and forgiving that you overlook the fact that you're being disrespected. And I'm seeing that right now on TV and our social media. Yes, absolutely. But I do blame some of that based on the factors of what we've been taught. I usually watch a certain personality that you do not care for. His name is Spunky Dineva. Oh, wow. And he came across my algorithm, and he was talking about being raised a sucker. What? I can't. And having to always have to be diplomatic in situations where you felt like you should have been hitting people upside the head and cussing them out. And I understood where he was coming from, because I myself felt like, growing up, I was never a fighter. I never fought. I never had to believe to fight for anything.
Did you ever experience any physical fighting or anything?
I had to. I was bullied. I was always bullied. I was always bullied for the simple fact of just looking different, sounding different, acting different, being unique. Yes, when you are a child, children pick up on certain things that are just different from them, and then they just go for the juggler. So yes, I was bullied, but I was never in a way. Let's just say this. It's just the fact of having to stand for one's belief. That was never really pushed forward. And I hate to say this. It's now taking me, I'm now 38. It's taking some muscle. I'm building my muscle and fighting every day on my job, because I was never taught to fight. And I think, to be honest with you, and hey, I don't care who this hurts. When you are raised in a single parent household, and it's mostly women, and they're dealing with boys of a unique situation, black boys. Black women tend to want to protect their black boys from any danger, because of the simple fact that society doing what is now doing now to the boy in Texas. The Carmelo Anthony situation, him having to defend himself from bullies. I hate that he killed the boy, but the boy was bullying him, and he had told him stop doing it. And it's now come to the point that he had killed the boy because the boy wouldn't stop, and they went into scuffle. But the facts are the facts. Sometimes you have to stand up for yourself. And sometimes it takes you cussing out people for them to get the hint. I don't like to say that, to be honest with you, if you've been raised in a Christian household, you've been brought up to be docile to the point that you have allowed,
say that
you have been allowed, people have allowed you to be, have been felt, for you to be disrespected. But I think even in the Bible, they say, you know, they always put Jesus as the perfect human being, the one who, he put it out there. If you didn't believe it, he just knocked the sand off his sandals and kept it moving.
Right. Yeah,
but that was not always the case with Jesus.
No one. See, that's one thing about, historically understanding where Scripture is applicable, why you should use it, why you shouldn't use it. Is it applicable for every area of your life? And all that type, all those type of things. And we want to, and of the Christian faith, want to have this panacea of Jesus being the framed perfectness that we wanted to be. And what has happened, we have lost the humanity in who Jesus was. Okay. And when you lose the humanity in that, you lose the spirituality. Okay. Because there's got to be something for the spiritual to help harness in its purpose. So using that as an example, I mean, I can get deeper. That'll take too long to build that. But just use the example of Jesus in the temple. A lot of people like to bring that. Well, some people, no, he didn't get that, man. Yes, the man got piss-hopping mad. Okay, because he looked at it as a degradation to what was in that time a symbolic point of the house of God. Okay, so the same situation is applying to you. And I'm going to go deep here. I hope y'all can follow with me. You as an individual are the house of God. Think about that. Think about that for a minute. You and Paul, like we started the show talking about spirituality, the house of God. You are the house that's embodying the Spirit of God. That's the thing that gives you life every day. It connects and divinely makes you the understanding of who you are. So when someone is disrespecting the house of God, you have the ability to stand your ground. Okay, now I'm not suggesting that you go out and get a gun and shoot people, and that's not what I'm saying. But you can stand your ground. It's like this captain right here. This captain right here very clearly says that. Now, some of y'all ain't going to agree with me. It's okay. But do the research. You'll find out a reason why they accepted what I've just said to you. The point of this particular show, as we're equating everything down the line, is in the framework of understanding how powerful you are as a spiritual being, not a religious being, not a whatever the domination that you go to or aspire to be. That is not who you are. That is an organized structure in most cases to rob you of who you are. I'm not saying all of them. Okay, so let me be clear before somebody want to come at me. All right, I'm not saying all of them, but there are a lot of them that do. Okay, anytime I had to put this line, like I said today, if it catches it, if there's somebody telling you that you cannot accept the fact of your birth being a great thing to this, or you need to leave fast.
And if that's what you believe, that's what you believe.
But that's
the kicker, though. But they're gonna, because you got people who going to believe in that regardless.
And I know that part. I do. But I'm just speaking truth to a situation, and hopefully truth to the power that's in them to rise up above that. Okay, you have people that don't celebrate holidays because everything become pagan. Okay, and then you don't celebrate Christmas because it's pagan. You don't celebrate Resurrection because it's pagan. You don't celebrate Thanksgiving because it's pagan. Okay, I get it. If that makes your soulish being happy, go for it. Yeah, but here's the thing, right? But here's the thing: if you're crossed by a situation like that people do celebrate it, don't give them this. Well, I don't celebrate that.
That's what I would have a problem with. Because at the end of the day. I understand that if that's your prerogative not to celebrate those things, that's great. That's fine. But don't police me with your beliefs. Don't police me with your beliefs.
Say that again. Say that one more time.
Don't police me with your beliefs.
Don't police me with your beliefs.
And it's the same thing with health, because at the end of the day, we all got one life to live. I don't care what anybody says. Well, if we come back, that's awesome. But you only have one life to live. Be free to do what is best for you.
Absolutely.
That's my belief.
That's my belief.
At the end of the day, some people say, you shouldn't be eating this. That's fine with them.
Right.
But as long as you think it's fine, if it's fine for you to eat it, that's fine for you to eat it. It's, and health is wealth. I understand that. Religion. That's a religion too.
Religion too. Go ahead, talk about it.
Health is wealth. But at the end of the day, what you might think what I might think is healthy might not be healthy to you, but I'm not going to come over there and police you of what I think you should be doing with your body, because that is your freedom of choice, which I think a lot of people tend to take away from people, especially when you're a child growing up and you're trying to figure out things, and you got parents that like to sink their hands in any and everything. If I go up to you, for example, and say, you know what, I have an idea. Why don't we do X, Y, and Z? Well, I think that's great, but I think it's better if you do A, B, and C.
Wow.
Then at the end of the day, I feel like you have taken away my freedom of choice. Absolutely. Because you should be at least saying, well, I think that's a great idea. So what is the plan? And if the plan is okay, go for it. If the plan is not okay, hey, I don't think you have a very clear plan. Keep working at it, but I believe in you. That builds a muscle of encouragement that I feel like
you hear this.
That builds a wealth of encouragement, which I feel like really helps those who believe in themselves get up there and find that purpose for their lives.
That's true.
I think what really holds us back is that one person that we believe in, that we have hope for, that would give us the push, that holds us back and to say stuff like, well, I can see you being a politician, but you talk so funny. You look so crazy. I mean, you think they'll listen to you? That should push you. But that one person that you're looking for, for that encouragement has kind of knocked you down a peg. And some people don't have that type of muscle. That's why you have a lot of people who go outside of their families looking for mentorship.
Absolutely.
That's why it is so important, if you have a teacher that you can talk to. To go to that teacher and talk to them, or that professor and talk. When you can't even talk to your parents, your brothers, your cousins, or whoever, you must have a mentor that believes in you within this life, because I hate to say it, family is not going to always be there for you. And that is, that's a problem within everybody's situation. Yes. And I wish we had that one person in our family that said, I think you're great. I think you're great. I think you're wonderful. I think you have something, an intelligence, a talent.
Absolutely.
But you got to find that person, and then you have to encourage yourself too. But that's what a lot of people are going to say at the end of the day. You must encourage yourself.
Well, you got to learn to encourage yourself.
Well, that's
okay. There's the key operative. You got to learn to encourage yourself. Okay, because if we do come through life expecting individuals, be it family and otherwise, to find that place that encourages us to move forward, we may come up short, because people only can do what they know how to do. Now, it does not make it right because they don't do it, but they can only do what they know how to do. You know, so some people just don't know how to encourage them, because they don't know how to encourage themselves. So you do have to seek a mentor. You have to seek someone out of that realm. We expect family to be the ones, because they seem to be the ones that are the closest to us. But they're the ones, typically, are the ones that let us down the most. And it's unfortunate. And parents are the ones that are guilty. Okay, because they're the closest to that child, or that young person, or that older person. They're the closest to that person. And they've been there through the nurturing period, somewhat nurturing periods, and all those type of things. And you come to expect that from them. But at the end of the day, they don't know how to do it. That's why they don't do it. So what we have to do is to have to take that power from them and find that power, find that muscle, as you said, within ourselves. Sometimes spending an alone time, I know purposefully that happened with me. Sometimes spending time by yourself allows you to realize how great you are. Because you can only have a conversation about you with you. That conversation is not being had by somebody else, or collectively getting their opinion about where you are. You start having that conversation with yourself, and then you start developing that muscle. Like you get in your own gym. You know what I'm saying? And then you say, well, you know what? I can put this extra plate on, because I'm here doing the work. You know what I'm saying? Nobody else is doing the work. Now, it would be nice to have that encouragement, from that person. Sometimes it feels good to have somebody to say, I'm gonna help lift the barbell. You know how it is lifting weights. Lift the barbell off the rack. You don't be able to hand it to you while you press your way through. And that's how you press your way through. You know, so but in that there is a level of help, but they can't help you completely, even with that. At that last rep that you got to do, guess what? Who got to push it through? Pushing it through. And if you got a little weak, guess what? That mentor, that person, that spiritual being, that person that you met at work, the person on the street, person you don't even know, is that person that's helping you lift that bar back up to put it back down again. You know, so we got to get in the fight, people. You know, you got to get in your own fight a lot of times, you know, and not expect those that should be doing it to do it.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, go ahead. What's your link point? I just want to share it with you.
Well, yeah. And I so wholeheartedly agree, to be honest with you. You have to be by yourself to figure out some things. It's tough to try to to be honest with you, I always people gonna get tired of me bringing up this song, but the greatest love of all, whenever I'm always in doubt, I go back. Sometimes it's best to have a song in your mind that kind of reassures you that the greatest love of all is within you.
Right.
And you got to find that within yourself, because if you're looking for a hero out here, and a lot of people I'm finding out in these times are disappointments. We have conversations about celebrities and all this stuff, but I always tell people are people, whether they have a title, whether they have a talent, whether they have money, they have status, they're still people at the end of the day, and people can be a disappointment.
Right.
And it's not, and to be honest with you, it's like at the end of the day, you have to find that greatest love within yourself to say, you know what, okay, then I think I can do this. I think I can manage this. Manage this, whatever that it might be, depression or an anxiety or whatever that is holding you back, insecurity. And I'm going to be honest with you, that is not easy.
No,
that is not easy.
Right.
In this flesh, in this situation called our body, life will tear you up and tear you down to the point that you are sitting in a dark room trying to figure out things. And people do not understand that. People, why don't you call me? Why don't you talk to me? Why don't you put me on the phone? I think, to be honest with you, what people fail to realize is that I think we, as those individuals who are going through situations like that, we're protecting you. We're protecting you.
Wow.
We're protecting you, because what we really want to say, we don't want to hurt people's feelings.
Wow.
Because when we start hurting people's feelings, people start acting like victims.
Right.
Why are you talking at me like this? Why are you cussing over the phone? When you know at the end of the other end, you have some situations that we have some unresolved issues.
It's true.
And that sometimes it's hard to talk it out, because who is trying to tell you, but at the end of the day, you're now becoming the victim of what you did not quite understand might have been the situation that has caused me to come into this situation called depression.
Wow.
And anxiety, because we're and let's talk real about living up to one's idea of what success is. Because we're seeing it within the news what success looks like. This man called Trump, and not only Trump, but some other individuals, they look at success as having a big home, having money, having a career, going on vacations. You see it all the time. We're wearing these designer clothes, wearing these bags, and you have these very same people who are looking down on people like us who have to get up and work every day and try to find the happiness in what we're doing, and telling us that we're not doing enough.
Right.
Then you have somebody probably within your family telling you the same thing. And that caused some form of, you know what, I'm feeling very small right now. And I don't feel like talking to anybody right now. So I want to set some boundaries where I need to get away. I just don't need to have any type of conversations, because I have to deal with some situations right now. Might be a situation of on the job, finances, all types of stuff that's that we're going to have to deal with in a few months that's coming up. And to be honest with you, it's people are going to have to understand there's going to be times where you're going to have loved ones that are just not going to call you. And it's all right to ask and hope and pray that they will call you back, or to text and say, probably it will take a simple text saying, you know what, I love you. I believe in you. Call me whenever you get the chance. I'm always here. That's all it takes. No more, no less. I love you. I believe in you. Whatever you're going through, call me when you get the chance. that takes the edge off of everything. But when you go into over explaining, there's a motive behind it.
Yes, it is. You better understand that vein and talk.
That the people have a motive behind certain things when they start over explaining, because at the end of the day, what are you trying to get at now?
Or throwing, why haven't you? Why are you not? Why are you not doing? Why are you not doing this thing? Why are you? But go ahead.
But that's the situation. So I would say this, and just if you know of anybody, just say this simple text: I love you and I believe in you. You know plain what? Simple. That's all. That's simple. Just keep it moving. It's gonna be all right. If you have to text it, it's gonna be all right. But if you need to talk to somebody, talk to me. Yeah. Call me when you need me. Right. But just know that I'm here.
Absolutely. Thank you, and keep it moving. You touched on so much, and I really hope, guys, that this is really helping a lot of you out tonight that are because in a place of a struggle with understanding who you are.
In these times,
and you are really going to need to pull on that muscle, like you said earlier on, because our expectations grow higher because guess what? We're being called to a higher place. Yeah. Okay. If your expectations are the same thing you did even yesterday and it's not changing today, you need to check with what you're in tune to. Okay. Because every day your expectations should be on a greater level for yourself as an individual. It don't take you to go to some place on Sunday to have a greater expectation for the next week coming. You should go into that place with the expectation of just communing with other expecting people.
Okay. If it's not church, it's the gym. If it's not gym, sometimes it's your job. If it's not your job, it's the playground. If it's not the playground, it's sometimes it's speak easy, a spoken word, a jazz club, a concert, an acting class. There are many forms of worship, and you know what? That's the religion thing is the easiest platform to go to for worship. But there are many forms of worship. Meeting with a friend for a beer is a worship.
That's right.
Two people at a Denny's table, worshiping by eating and talking about their situations is a worship. And that is where we in this society, we're going to need that.
Yes, we are.
If you have been watching the news, because this is the truth behind the truth, people are getting laid off. 401Ks are being 30% ripped away. People are losing their benefits. And you got presidents talking about insurrection day, martial law day, or whatever, the 20th of this month, where the military will be controlling the streets. See,
wait.
Allegedly.
No. I'm not cutting you off.
That's where we're low. That's where we're at.
But where did that information resonate from on an open airway to prepare humanity? Where did it resonate from? You know, two guys and probably some other cast members said stuff like that. Do you remember a show that was on the internet? That was one that probably some people didn't bother to share or didn't stay on long enough to find out what the truth behind the truth was being talked about.
But we're gonna need each other at the end of the day. Well, at the end of the day, you need to start checking up on people, but also understanding that we are all going to go through something, and it's at the end of the day, it's okay because this is where we're going. But that's not. I'm trying to say this in all full honesty. We shouldn't grovel in it. It's time to move. It's time for action, to be honest with you. And it's time for us to get control of what's going on right now in our lives, because now things are that's outside of us is going cray.
So let's.
But we're going. Let's get back on subject. Yeah, because I'm going into politics right now.
Yeah, we were trying to stay away from politics a little bit this week, but we have to make mention of it because that's what's going on in our society right now. Yeah. But but in that, I mean, the understanding about the political arena, everything we said it on the show previously, everything you do is political.
That's right.
Everything you do, weighing up every week. I think we expounded upon it Charles expounded it very detailed last week about the political agenda and then what it is. We started out talking about, these assemblies or religious assemblies. We're going to say one of those on Sunday. It's very political. Yeah. Okay. We started out, it's very political. Some organizations have to nominate a quote unquote a pastor. But that pastor can be or whatever, it has to go through a committee. And this committee got to be like this person is right for the job and all that. It's politics. Okay, it's church politics. So don't ever say that you're not involved in politics.
Okay? Even when you're sick, get political, because now that
our
Charles is going through COVID right now. That is still political. You got children dying of measles right now. That's political right now.
Okay.
It's just in where you work, it's now become a little bit political.
No, and my job, very political.
Very political. Okay, very political. Because y'all put money behind certain candidates.
They finding out real skillfully about putting that money behind the candidate. Because guess what? All of our products shipped over from now, they're made by our company, but they ship over from Vietnam. And Vietnam gonna lay it. What's it? Strike it high, and lay it low.
They're gonna let go and let have, basically.
Okay. They're gonna let go and let have. Yeah. And even on the political point of just making a decision, which I just had to endure with my company, and how politically they decided to make a move and put somebody else in a place that wasn't even worthy of being in that particular place. They overlooked somebody.
Their biggest donor just disconnected themselves from the man upstairs. The man upstairs.
The man upstairs.
The biggest donor called Wally World. What did Mrs. Remember that girl from The Simple Life? What was her name? What was the store where they sell walls?
Oh, which one was that?
Oh, Hilton.
Okay, but
Hilton. Paris Hilton. It's the store where they sell walls. Wally World. Make a connection. Make a connection right there, because we're not going to be, pushing businesses, but they sell walls. They the biggest donor has disconnected themselves from the man who sits right of the father. The man upstairs, the man in a white, but the house he doesn't sleep there, nor does he live there. He goes to Florida. That man, they have disconnected themselves, the biggest donor from Arkansas. Make the connection. The saddest thing about that is, though, they put money behind this. And now they're going to lose lots of revenues because taxes.
Billions.
Yeah, billions. Because taxes is going to be going crazy right now. The tax on those on those items, merchandise.
Because Walmart's biggest revenue
pushing businesses.
I'm sorry. That place that has the star on it.
Yeah, the star on it. They used to have the happy face on it. Remember?
Yeah, that's true.
The happy.
But now it has a star on it. But see, everything that they get that's made by that star, it comes from China. So, but I'm gonna leave it down.
I used to work there, and then everything comes from China.
Everything comes from China. Even them gold sneakers and them ties that was being sold too came from China. Okay.
Well, the goods in the homes, right?
So it's good to pay attention.
Well,
okay, it's good.
Don't mess with certain the China man said. Don't mess with me now. We ain't little man over here anymore.
And then I know, right?
Stupid. They gaslighting this man. I hate to say this, y'all. This man is being so gaslighted. I don't think he knows what's actually going to happen.
No,
and he has his own people just really on pins and needles with this situation. But hey, pray. Well, don't. Do what you do best. Let's keep this ball rolling. Right. Do what you do best.
On to your next point. Yeah. On to your next point. So, as we've been talking about for the past, we just kind of reminding you guys on where we are tonight in our conversation. These next two shows, we're calling it Life in the Spirit, and the Spirit is always willing.
Yeah.
Always willing. Okay. That's not religion. That is a fact. Okay, and the fact is that your inner being, man, is always willing to guide you to the next level, whether it's buying a home, buying a car, buying, being an encourager, to those that need that encouragement. And what we like to do in this is to encourage you to listen more.
Yeah.
So we started earlier on talking about the listening, and a lot of times, if you're going to another place, or some people like to say a secret place, you're going to find yourself spending a lot of alone time. Okay, but you come out with more information than you'd ever had about your life at that particular point in time. So we want to encourage you if you're going through something, and you don't understand, I will almost guarantee you that your spirit man is trying to tell you something.
It's so funny, and I hate to even go into this situation, but you heard of certain spiritual people within the books that had to go and fast, and not only fast. When we think of fasting, we think of losing whatever that is, of food, of water, whatever it might be. But did anybody ever think about this? That in most situations they went away, like literally away from everybody and everything, and they fasted and all within themselves, and nobody batted an eye. Some people ask questions to where this person was. Now, with all this technology that we have in these times, why when certain people are people who go into their own secret place, away from people prying eyes, having to use their phones, why is that their time is not being respected? Now, do you need to make this certain announcement saying, listen, I'm going on a fast for 40 days and 40 nights. Please don't call me. Don't text me. Don't say nothing to me. Please leave me alone. Let me have this time for myself. I'm cutting myself away. Do you need to announce that to everybody so everybody can get the hint?
No, you shouldn't. Not at all. Not at all.
You don't think that's
no?
It won't
because
rude?
Really, if you look at it, it's kind of like, not everybody, but it's kind of like, I need to hear your approval before I make the step to go into this place of that I need to this cleansing for me, spiritually, or awakening for me. So it's like, I need to have your approval that I'm going away, so you don't want to have to wonder where I am in the process of this. Now, if you want to make a brief announcement, say, hey, look, I'm gonna be on the low, and today's night, I can be on the low for a couple of weeks, but I'm good. Okay, if I need something, I'll call you. Cool. But the next question always is, well, why are you going on the low? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's not good to reveal all information to somebody for a particular purpose. Because somebody takes your dream, your vision, and your purpose and start to apply it. That's why you can't tell. As it always says, don't tell everybody everything. And a quiet person is the best person. Okay? You learn more by keeping your mouth shut than you do wide open. That's true. All right? You learn more with these than you do with this.
I'm learning that now.
Okay? Keeping your mouth closed and your eyes open and your ears wide. If you're in a conference, hey, this is another thing. The spirit is willing, okay? If you're in a conference at work, don't go in there running your mouth. Shut up. Stand around the wall, take your little seat, and listen to what everybody else is saying, whether it's nonsense, good sense, or in between sense, but it's making some kind of sense. But that is something for you to apply to your knowledge to use at another given time, okay? Think about it. A lot of times that we're placed in positions and we don't know why we're there for a purpose. But I guarantee you this purpose is to enrich your life more for the next step. You never know where that you're not supposed to be unless you're doing something you ain't supposed to be doing. Okay, that's a whole nother conversation. But at the end, you know what? Even in that, you are in situations a lot of times you thought that you weren't supposed to be there, but you were there for a purpose. Everything in your life has a purpose. Everything. There's a scripture that used to like that comes up and says, all things work together for the good. All things. That means all. That means everything. Okay. Somebody says, well, what about the rest of that scripture? To them that love God and who are called to his purpose. Y'all may not accept this is what I'm saying is because you think that has to do with Christians. That all means all. Okay, we cannot regulate a person's relationship with their creator. Okay, so that becomes into the thing that what we talked about earlier on. All means all, period. You may not have to understand. Look, I'm going to put it this way. I'm going to take it to the lower of the lows. Even a hooker, okay, she got a purpose, okay, because there was a lot of hookers throughout the word. Okay, she has a purpose. Now, you may never, whatever she tricking or whatever she case may be, you don't know what after that trick has been done, what words she got for that person's life. Okay, so she served a purpose. Rahab the harlot, hello, Jesus' great grandmama had a purpose. She served a purpose, but in her purpose brought him to the fruition of becoming the savior of all humanity. So we cannot necessarily put a disclaimer on a person's life because it's not acceptable in our area. Okay, everybody has a specific way. What you need to do is to take a step back. Look for yourself and what's going on, especially if you've been privy to be in that presence. Because, go ahead.
But I know I was about to make a connection, because the man who sits in the upper room up there in whatever DC.
Oh,
if his great grandfather had a purpose. He dodged the draft in Germany.
Well, okay.
And because he dodged the draft,
he came in.
He came. He had a great grandson came and dodged another draft. So that was. He had a purpose. He had a purpose. He had a purpose. He escaped from Germany to come here to dodge something. So he taught all of his descendants to dodge, to dip and dodge. So now he has found one of his is now president of the United States from dipping and dodging all these years. So that was the purpose, right? So don't make the mistake of being so understanding and forgiving.
We put that about back up there again.
Well, that's another one. Don't make the mistake of being so understanding and forgiving.
Right.
But I think that's our situation that's going on right now with that.
Well,
understanding and forgiving.
That word is so much always used in our vernacular of life. The word understanding. So you're expected to understand everything that goes on around you. Now you can find the purpose in what you're going on around you, but to have to understand it to the level that it disrupts you, that's a whole nother thing. Or we accept that understanding and not understand it. We have to be in that understanding. We're forgiving, but we're overlooking the fact that we're being disrespected, just like it says.
Well, I like Maya Angelou's stance of forgiveness. She brought this out. I think when Oprah and her had this interview years ago. What was it? It was a platform Oprah had on her own, but it came out. But anyway, she told Oprah, she said, I think you don't have to forgive somebody face value.
Wow.
That doesn't mean you don't have to do that to gain your power. You can forgive people from a distance to protect your. I'm so sorry. I'm very tongue tied right now. Okay. To protect your spirit. Let me reiterate that one more time. She said, you do not have to forgive people face value. Forgive them from a distance to protect your spirit. To be honest with you, I agree to that. Because I don't think in order to earn my power, I need to tell you I forgive you.
Wow.
I have to, in subtle ways.
That's an accomplishment that I have to do within myself.
Oh, but in subtle ways, I can show you that, hey, I forgive you, but just, I just got to make sure that there's a boundary that cannot be crossed. There's a boundary. And I think that's where we mess up on. We don't set boundaries for people, including within our families. There's a boundary you cannot cross anymore. And I'm tired of you crossing these boundaries because you have this what you call this leaf over my head saying that you can. And I wish people will understand that you will respect people if you respect their boundary. If somebody, like you always tell me, people still calling you John, even though you have told them many times to call you JB. That's a boundary.
Thank you for bringing
that still has been crossed.
Yes, it is,
and it has never been respected.
It's disrespect.
And that is very disrespectful.
It is. Yeah, absolutely.
That is very disrespectful. When somebody is telling you, baby, I don't like to be touched like that. I don't like you calling me that.
Right.
Some people say, nigga, I don't even look in their direction. I look like, I don't know who you talking to. So I keep doing what I'm doing. Hey, nigga, I don't know who you talking to because that's not my name. That's not my name. And that's the problem.
Right.
That's the problem with a lot of people.
Right. But we through our families and things of that nature, it's like, well, you always hear, well, it's okay. They don't mean what they say.
Please. That's the problem right there.
They don't mean what they say. And then it becomes a teach culture, typically under African American people.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Because historically we've had to frame ourselves around that idea because of what has transpired out of slavery. Through oppression. Okay. But baby, you're not in oppression anymore. Stand your damn ground. Period. Right. At the end of the day, you're not in an oppressive state anymore, so you don't have to, submit yourself or shuckle down. What is that? Shuckle down and look low and everything. Oh, baby, you better hold your head up.
Shuffle and jive.
And look straight in the eye of what would have been your oppressor. You look at what have been, not your oppressor, but what was your oppressor. And you look at that oppressor and straight in line, so get the fuck out my face.
And that necessary. Right there is very telling. We had a a national demonstration that happened this past weekend. Was it the 5th? Was Saturday, right? There was a demonstration that was happening all around the U.S. And there was this campaign within, the Black social media that y'all don't get involved in that.
Right.
Don't get involved in it. And I understood why. Because that was a boundary that was being laid down. That was a boundary. Because for many years, we've been pushing and protesting and trying to get people mobilized. But the boundary was crossed when that woman did not win.
Oh. You better stay in that lane and talk.
The boundary, crossed when Kamala did not win. I want to call it Kamala. When Kamala did not win, that was a boundary for some of us that said, you know what? We're tired. We're absolutely tired. We've been tired since, oh my God, since when? We would say Obama, but no, it's been a long time and a long time coming. Yeah, some people got offended for the fact that a lot of Black social media creators were like, y'all, we're not going to be standing up anymore. We're going to be sitting back and letting y'all fight this battle on your own, because when we were out there on the forefront, it didn't matter to you that much because you sat comfortable in your homes and said, okay, this problem is not my issue. I hear their plight, but that's not my problem. I said this even before the election. What's going to happen is people are going to realize and understand that those who thought that wouldn't be touched were going to be touched.
Right.
Because what people fail to realize that this man, this billionaire, this businessman, this capitalist, this industrialist, because a lot of people don't understand business people are not humanists.
You better talk, man.
They're not humanists. They don't believe in humanity.
Wow.
They don't even believe in protecting their own workers or giving you benefits. That's so what makes you thought that this industrialist, this capitalist man who is president was going to believe in your humanity? You need benefits. Your child needs free lunch. You need food stamps. That man said you don't need any of that. You just need to get your ass up and work. And your children need to get their asses up and work.
Well,
and I'm sorry to those who bought into that because you don't like gay marriage, you don't like abortion. Hey, that's what you believe. And I'm not taking that away from anybody. If that's what you don't believe in, that's great. But at the end of the day, the necessity of making sure that you can afford your rent, afford groceries, making sure that you have an affordable health care. Did that not cross anybody's mind? That was the boundary. Right, okay. That was the boundary that was crossed. And no, I will not get out there on those streets. I will protest in the way that I feel like it's best for me. That protects my spirit. Right. Because once they see me on the front line, what they gonna do? They're gonna drag me and haul me off the jail. They see a black body, put him off. At the end of the day, y'all will be protected because it won't be a situation that really pertains to y'all. It'll be pertaining to what I have to deal with now. And I hate to say this though, but to be honest, that is the truth.com. That is the truth behind the truth. Because the election night was the boundary that crossed. It was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yes, it was.
And that hurt a lot of people who believed that democracy was more important than your hatred for people. And now your hatred for people has cost you your benefits. It has cost you your 401k. It has cost you your retirement. It has cost you the Department of Education. Now that as Black students, you will be taught that slavery never existed. And I hate this. Hey, this is the truth.
Right, that's true. That's true. Tell the truth.
Put that first thing up that first caption, because I'm on fire right now. I want to read that. Okay. Put it back up there about the lie. Put it back up there because I want to read that again. Because that right there is very telling right now. It's very telling. Because this man has on Air Force, whatever he was riding on. Don't make the mistake of being go back to what you said about the lie. Right. Okay. What do you call it when someone hears the truth, sees the truth, but still believe the lies? That was the election right there. And now that is your United States of America. Get ready, because it's going down as we speak. It's going down. Yes, let's read that. What do you call it when someone hears the truth, sees the truth, but still believe the lies? Well, my grandma would call it a fool. A fool. A whole ass fool. Well, and we have a whole bunch of whole ass fools right now within these United States. Yes, and now the whole world is really tearing down on our asses.
Yes.
And I feel bad, but not too bad enough to cry over because I'm so numb to it right now.
At this particular point in time, I mean,
I'm numb.
You like we started up, so it's really finding yourself in your spiritual being in the midst of this. This is why, again, this title for these 2 weeks is definitely going to be Life in the Spirit, and the Spirit is always willing.
That's right.
Okay, always willing. But in that always willing, it's not submitting to the things that we're here talking to you about. Okay, it's about invoking the element of change. I want to go back just a little bit to this, what we ended last year with, but how integrated the idea of what this meant to so many people, and what we're talking about right now, because it's still all spiritual. This character has changed the life of so many people. Okay,
change for the better.
Change for good. I have been changed for good, which comes out in Change for Good is the second half of a weekend that'll be out here. But through my understanding, through my reconditioning of my thought patterns, I have been changed for good. Through me understanding, and then you mentioned earlier about the aspect of the oppressive state that people can be put in. This character was in an oppressive state. She came through life in an oppressive state.
That's right.
Her family was her in an oppressive state. Her dad didn't accept her because she was different. Everybody told her, the green was just a symbolic fact of what she was experiencing in an oppressive state. People are born into situations where they don't look like the people that they thought they were supposed to be looking like. And they put them in an oppressive state. Then everybody around you starts to pick on you and see all of the things that what they think that you're not. But here, the thing that she did, the greatest of that point, is she took all of that and began to find herself in that.
I can do one better.
Okay.
I can definitely do one better.
Okay.
Let's talk about the story of Michael Jackson, because that movie's about to come out soon too. The story of MJ. I thought about this when you were talking about Elphaba. The fact that even in the times of him growing up through his time of of puberty and all that stuff, the fact that he couldn't find the beauty within himself because of the situation of religion, being Jehovah's Witness, and because of the fact that he was African American, but through the fact of having to grow up in that world of living around a family who did not understand, especially a father who did not understand the beauty of blackness, calling him big nose, big head, pimples growing everywhere. I thought about his vitiligo the other day, and I said, you know what? I hate to say this, but that was also in the planning, because what the universe did, and you can call it God, you can call it Jehovah, Jesus, whatever you want to call it. Michael had to be different from the rest for people to see how pure, even within his purity, he was scorned. Because in this world we live in, not this world, this society of ugliness, the life that he was living, we did not quite understand what the heck he was doing. And the purity of it was, we did not comprehend, because who did stuff like that behind closed doors? And who was comfortable in saying this out loud? But at the end of the day, it took death. It took death for people to kind of clear him of all of this hell that society put on this one individual who we call the greatest performer of all time, the greatest entertainer of all time. And the saddest thing about it is, the saddest part of that story was in the home, in the family structure. We were talking about mentors within our families who we look up to for encouragement, for guidance. Joe was there guiding the career, but what was the encouragement of one's beauty? Son, you're not ugly. You might talk unique. You might have a funny way of singing, a funny way of talking, but you're still perfect in my eyes, regardless of what the world sees. If he would have said that.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Michael will still be here to this day, number one.
If he would have said that.
If he would have said that. In the moment of losing that opportunity to affirm, like we talked about earlier, affirm somebody of their greatness. Can you imagine how that would have changed the whole dynamic of everything? Even in the parts where Michael was doubting himself about what other people of color was saying about him. Because they were calling him gay back then.
Oh
yeah. In his lighter part of it, why does he, as a grown man, have to sing with a soft voice? Oh, they said those things about him, and all of that feeding got back to him. Then he started to look at himself. I'm glad we have this picture. This is one of his better looking pictures, that have been out there on the internet. But he started to doubt himself so much that he wanted to reconstruct himself to look like somebody else, to be accepted.
He didn't want to look like the monster.
Right.
The monster that was supposed to be encouraging him from the very beginning. Well, I got that. Because he definitely was looking like him.
Right.
But he had to, like you say, reconstruct something that he was trying to get away from.
Right.
But but what came out of that also was a purpose.
Right.
He donated $500 million to charity and holds the Guinness World Record for the most charity supported by a pop star within 39 organizations. And he still holds the highest record of giving away to the College Negro Fund, United College Negro Fund.
Yeah.
He holds the highest position.
Yep.
In that, we got all these Beyoncés, all these puppies, not to say that and not to force them to donate money, but we have all of these black billionaires. Right. Why is it that he still holds the highest? Well, hey, truth behind the truth, probably is not. Hey, I listen. That's not me.
All of them need a tax write-off. I don't know why they ain't writing it up and giving it as a tax write-off.
We have all this greatness. Mm-hmm. I don't think any HBCU should be going run down. Right. Regardless of which HBCU you go to, I think we all should be contributing. Right. But if we have all this black excellence, hey, to each his own. But
to each his own.
To each his own.
I know I hate to bring us to a closing point.
Yeah, we about heads off.
But it's it's a very powerful time.
Yes,
it is, and we do hope and put every intent that we inspire you guys to see something different about yourself. Number one, and if you fall short of something, know that you have the ability to pull yourself up. Okay.
And if you're not a hit dog, don't holler.
Right.
Basically,
that too.
Don't be the hit dog. If you are the hit dog, I
correct it.
Do better.
Do better. That's all you gotta do. Just do better.
But if you're gonna be hollering all day, you're not helping the situation. You're just making it worse. And that's why some of us have to get away to be away to set a boundary.
Okay.
To set a boundary, a boundary that just cannot be crossed anymore.
And maybe
I'm just saying,
maybe that that there's some boundaries that need to be set in your life. Maybe that's something that you need to consider as you are, investigating and understanding your spiritual well-being. Maybe you do need to set some. That's a good point. Setting some boundaries for your life, okay, and not allowing people to cross those boundaries. Okay, because allowing that becomes to a total exposure. Either you're ready to deal with it or you're not ready to do it, or giving you enough strength to be able to deal with them.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to retreat to deal with people. I got,
we're not perfect. We are works in progress.
Right. We all are works in progress.
We all are works in progress. Nobody's sitting up here and saying that we're all perfect. We have to go through this life taking lefts and turns, trying to get to where we're trying to go.
Right.
Trying to make it home.
Right.
Trying to make it home.
Trying to get home. Absolutely. It's funny that you mentioned about boundaries, because about this boundary that I had to establish with a somewhat close family member, and they just went too far with me in the last conversation I had with them. They crossed that boundary, and I had to stop it. I hung up.
That's what you have to do.
Okay, I had to stop it. I said, because this is ridiculous. Now I'm here loving and caring and one another, and then you started saying all of this unnecessary stuff, all of it, and then attacking different areas of family related situations and things. And I said, you know what? I can't deal with this no more. Click. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing you got. You got a cell phone, baby. Do you know that's that end button? Click.
That's right.
It'll shut it off. Maybe you need to take the spiritual cell phone in your hand and whatever given situation and hit the stop button. Click and hang up on it. Okay, and give yourself the freedom to reframe it so that you know it's going to come back up again. But guess what? You're going to be more stronger to deal with it the next time that it appears again. You know, you will be. But anyway, I know we got to wrap this up. But I want to thank Al and Judah for being a part of the night, and Stephanie, that was the part of the night, and Joe, and all of you guys. I lost your comments because I moved the thing down.
Read some of them.
Well, we kind of moved on from what he was talking about.
Well, let's read it anyway. Let's see what we can read. So all things mean that you should learn from all things. It should be a lesson learned from all things you experience. And that was from Judah Allen. And he's been, hey, thank you for all. Listen, y'all, listen. This is, I like this.
Oh, absolutely.
We love this.
Absolutely.
I don't care how many times you comment. Just say something, and it's okay if it comes off crazy. We know how to just move on. Okay. We got a boundary on this show. If you sound crazy, we just move it on. But if you have something to say that makes sense, we're gonna read it.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that came up on there? That's
not really that we can.
But don't sit here and just listen to us. Right, just saying, hey, y'all don't make sense. Expand a little bit more on this subject for us, please.
Absolutely, because we will do the research and come up with and we will do the research and come up with the answer. All right, we certainly will do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, we love you guys so much. You know, and thank you for those are tentative to our schedule every week. You know, yes, we are here on Tuesdays at 6:15. However, I have to make, and I forgot to talk about him, that next Monday, because the manager and I that share the same story, he's going to be on vacation, so I won't be able to do Tuesday. But next Monday night, okay, just for that 1 week, okay, we'll be at 6:15. All right, just that next Monday, not Tuesday, but it will really air again on Tuesday as well. But we won't be able to be live on next Tuesday. It will be Monday, this coming Monday night at 6:15. Right. Okay, wanted to make sure you guys knew that. This cycle of where we are right now. We've tried not to bend the time frames and things like that because we've invested a lot into having our certain time frames, at that. But until y'all start taking care of us, no, I'm just kidding. No, I ain't kidding. But we need y'all help. You need your support. You need your cash contributions to the cause. All right.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. I mean, we have been doing this for 5 years, y'all. Yeah. 5 years. All right.
$5 each. A mess. Not even $20 each. Oh, mess. I can't. Marvin Sapp gonna have us all in a line about this. Marvin Sapp, he didn't put his hands up like this, like you all. I'm like, boy, you don't put your finger down out of that camera. Like, who you talking to? I'm like that person who wrote "Never Would Have Paid It" too. I probably would have walked out, but no.
Never would have paid it.
I have a funny story.
Go ahead, real quick. We got 1 minute. Go ahead.
I had a situation back in Atlanta where somebody invited me to church, and it's a very well-known gay church in Atlanta. But still, though, the man said, if you don't have your money, you can go out there and get it from the ATM, or you can hold the money up and we'll pray over it, right? So I went. I said, I'm gonna go to this ATM and I'm gonna go out this door.
Okay.
Because the way he worded it was so incorrect. It was so incorrect. It's like, everybody should have some money. And I understood what he was trying to get at, but let's be honest about the protocols of giving. Sometimes you need to understand that everything that you get is not always what you would consider holy. Right. But at the end of the day, you should be giving from your heart.
Right. But I said that last week on the show.
But I wish they would say this too. Y'all, the light bills need to be paid.
That's what I said last week.
This building is rented and we got to pay our rent for this month. Can you give us some money to keep us coming?
Right, absolutely.
Now that's just being truthful and honest.
That's where it should be. And I promise you speak the truth behind the truth.
And people will support it.
Okay. And
if they love you and they love the church, if they love the organization, of any organization,
you won't have them trying to raise no money.
Give us the money because we got to pay this rent if you want to keep coming to hear this choir sing. If you are the soloist and you need a mic stand to get that voice going, and hey, we need the money. The money, we got to pay this rent. Okay. We got to keep the lights on, keep the water on, keep the gas on.
Okay.
Be honest with your parishioners. Just be honest. Just be honest.
That's a message right there by itself. But yes, indeed. Be honest. We said it last week. Be honest. Said it again.
Truth behind the truth.
Truth behind the truth. That was a good ending point. Be honest about it. Live in the spirit, love in the spirit, move in the spirit, and take your whole life in the spirit. I promise you'll be a very, very happy person.
And so are your parishioners. They will come back.
I cannot. All right, guys. We will see you Monday.
Chicken dinners. Chicken dinner's always, they ain't tell a chicken dinner ain't gonna hurt nobody.
We will see you Monday night.
That's
same
right.
time, same place,
That's
same
right.
station, all of the above in between.
People always come for food. Church and food go together.
Y'all.
Church and food go together.
Y'all, good night.
Amen.
We'll see you next
Bye.
week. Love y'all. Bye.
Bye.